Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7 and today we are taking a look at the Notorious EDC King Pin, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry. Now, I bought this knife myself, and this was designed by Notorious EDC, and the OEM for this is Riot. He based this design off of his slip joint. So this one is the flipper model, but it's basically a one-to-one of his very popular Notorious EDC King Pin slip joint. I've owned a few of the slip joints, and I can say they are built every bit as good as, say, a Jack Wolf, but the aesthetic is a little more to my liking. Kind of this sharper, edgier, but also like subdued look. So I'm a big fan of Notorious EDC and pretty much everything he's designed. They've all been bangers. He's got, I want to say, 4 or 5 variants of the slip joint. And then this is the most basic version, but he's got it in purple fat carbon, red fat carbon. He's got one model that looks really nice with a hand satin on the blade. Love that. I want to say he's got a micarta, and then he's got a few other like all titanium builds, just with different finishes on the handle, different finishes on the blade and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm going to have him linked, his Instagram and his store linked in the description. And I believe he just landed at, I want to say SMKW. Like I just saw a notification for it yesterday. So if I can find that, then I'll link that down below as well. So jumping right into the knife, we've got titanium for the front and back scale. So it's full titanium construction. We've got one cutout to kind of give this faux bolster look, right? Which I actually think it does a really good job. It's the same thing back here. Like on paper, if you'd have been like, hey, what if it was just all titanium and we just put a line where the bolster would be, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of lame. But looking at it, no, it actually looks pretty dang sharp. I really like it. I'd rather have it than not have it. So we have T8 hardware all throughout. And then we have a deep carry milled titanium pocket clip with no hardware that we can see. Non-reversible. And then we do have a 1/3 back spacer with no lanyard hole. As far as the ear goes, it's a relatively neutral grip. I can still get 4 fingers. And as long as I put the pocket clip kind of in the middle of my hand, I don't have any, I basically don't feel it. There's no hot spots or anything like that. Now, if I bring it down here, it's still not a hot spot unless I'm really bearing down on it. This is not a knife you should be bearing down on. I mean, that's just not what it's built for, right? So if you use it for its intended purposes, you're not gonna have a hot spot. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to bear down on it, like this is the only tool you have and you have to get the job done, then I would just say, make sure that you're holding it where the clip is more in the middle of your hand, and then you can white knuckle it. You're not going to have any major hot spots or anything like that. This does feel very lightweight, which is cool because that helps out with its versatility. You know, it makes it feel very, what's the word I'm looking for? Agile. You know, it makes it feel very agile. You're in total control. It is butt heavy. So you're holding all the way back here, and it kind of makes you feel like you've got just every ounce of control that you could need. Not that you have to move quickly or not any of that, but it's just a different kind of feel. It almost feels like you're holding a pencil, right? When you have a pencil, you're in total control of what that pencil does. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what this feels like. It feels like an elegant pencil. And then we do have some jimping. That jimping's not functional. It's just for the front flipper. So it's not going to lock you in. Not that you really need to be locked in with a knife this size. We do have a very handsome blade. We've got a harpoon drop point We have a stone wash finish, hollow ground, and this is in Magna Cut. So Magna Cut's going to be like, just a really great all-around steel. Good toughness, very good edge retention, and very corrosion resistant. So just an excellent all-around EDC steel. Now, as far as the detent goes and the action on this, the detent is light. There's a few reasons for that. One, because it's front flipper only. And two, because the blade's so light, right? Normally, whenever you are flipping a knife, especially a larger one, we'll take a look at the Sikare. You have the detent, but then you also have the weight of the blade. I love this knife. Truly a knife you have to have in hand to fully appreciate. But so it's the detent plus the weight of the blade gives you that overall feeling of action. This is just the detent though, because the blade weighs virtually nothing, right? Now, despite that, the action is still satisfying. It's still a fidget beast. And one thing I like about it is that despite the blade not being that heavy, whenever you push off the lock bar, it's pretty much drop shut. But since the blade's so light, you don't have to worry about it cutting into your finger, right? So it's like, it's okay if it just falls and hits your finger. And then from here, you can just kind of give it a couple of shakes. So I really enjoy the action on this. As far as the acoustics go on the way out, and then we have a little click for the disengage. Hopefully you can hear this. And then all the way down. You're not going to get a whole lot because you do have to kind of shake it to get it all the way down. So overall, though, I would say for the size of the knife, the acoustics are impressive. It's not going to be as satisfying as a full-size knife, but that really comes down to a lack of weight. But I'm also happy that you can get a guillotine-like close while you're holding the lock bar down with a blade that's so light. And the lock bar access is also fantastic, very comfortable. You've got a scallop over here and over here, so it's easy to just get your thumb in there, push the lock bar over. Oh, that is one thing though. You want to make sure that you don't have your finger up here during the disengage, because then it's not going to go anywhere. So you want to make sure you get your finger back, clear this, and then it goes down. And then a couple of shakes, and you're golden. This is lefty friendly. I can't do anything lefty. I don't practice anything lefty. I can still deploy it and close it lefty. So I do believe he made lefty versions of this, but those can be kind of hard to find. It's like they take a little while to sell out, but then once they sell out, like they're not hitting the secondary market. I find that's how most lefty versions go because there's so few of them. But so if you end up getting a right-handed version, as you can see, I'm having zero issues. And you're not putting any pressure on the lock bar either, because if you see the way I'm holding it, is I'm kind of gripping the clip right here. No lock bar pressure. And then I come right up here. I flip it. So, I mean, like it really is lefty friendly, minus the clip. So the overall length of this is going to be 6.5 inches, and that's with a blade length of 2.91. And that's going to give us a blade to handle ratio of 0.81, which is 81%, which is fantastic. And then the overall weight is 2.3 ounces. We're going to do some size comparisons. We'll start with the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen, which is going to absolutely dwarf it. Let's go with something a little bit smaller, the Real Steel Sylph. The Real Steel Sylph is usually one of the smaller knives on the table, but even this has a good inch or so on top of the Notorious EDC King Pin. And let's go ahead and do the Civivi Praxis button lock. Easily dwarfs it. Not even close. I would consider this a full-size knife, this to be a large knife, this to be a medium, small, small, medium, and then this guy right here. I would say fifth pocket carry. Now, with that being said, a small knife does not mean a small price. So these knives retail brand new for $325. So it's important to know that just because the knife is small doesn't mean that it's easier to machine, doesn't mean that it doesn't use as premium materials. I mean, we're still looking at a full titanium frame lock, OEM'd by Riot, right? And if you think, full titanium frame lock OEM by Riot, then about 325 is going to be par for the course. You know what I'm saying? You typically won't find something under 275 OEM by Riot. So, and I would say you'd be kind of hard pressed to find anything under 300. So 325, I believe, is a fair price for this knife. But this knife isn't going to be for everybody. It's really for a specific type of, I don't want to say collector, but it's for a specific type of customer, right? And if you're the type of person that identifies with this knife, because you can pair it with your Notorious EDC slip joint. You kind of get that classic slip joint look, but also somehow getting like a newer, more modern look at the same time. I don't really know how to explain it, but I could tell you that I'm one of the people that this knife speaks to, right? I'm drawn to this knife. I like it. So for me, the size, the fidgetability, the acoustics, the daily use of it, all of those things, they just clicked for me. So for me, now I did buy this on the secondary, but for me, because I paid $325 for the slip joints, the price point didn't bother me at all, just because of the quality of what you're getting. So, there's going to be more people than not that look at this and say, for $325, I can get, a much larger, much more robust, much more useful knife. And you're right, you absolutely can. But not every knife, and I think if you, search deep down, not every knife is about maximizing utility, right? When you're talking about a $325 knife, you're typically looking at people that are buying something that speaks to them or something that they identify with, something that when they pull it out of their pocket, they can say, this knife represents me well, right? And I can say that for most of the knives that I own because that's why I bought them. But I can also say that for this knife too. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Absolutely, I would carry this. I have, and absolutely, I would collect this. Now, typically my collection pieces don't see use, but I define a collection piece as something that has a permanent stay in my collection, and this has a permanent stay. So that's why I'm saying I would use it, yes, and also collect it. Now, my question for you, does this have a place in your collection, or does it have a place in your daily carry rotation? Do me a favor, drop a comment down below. Let me know if it does have a spot in either of those places for you, or let me know if you're just one of the people that either doesn't want to spend the money on it, or you just don't identify with this style of knife. I'd love to know. Beyond that, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And then you can follow me at SEVRSEVN for Instagram and TikTok. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for the support and everything you guys have done for me. Until the next time, peace.